If you're like me, then you like to take your Switch with you and play it everywhere. On your TV, airplanes, while you're laying in bed at 2 a.m. and should be sleeping, or while you're pooping. I mean, if you really want to keep watching, you can. So that means when I have the option and a game is multi-platform, I tend to favor picking it up on my Switch. You know, because of the whole pooping thing. But, as we all know, this machine is a little behind the Xbox Series X/S and PS5, and PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So, with GTA Trilogy, the Definitive Edition just having released, the question is, should you pick it up on the Switch? I mean, they're old games from the PS2 era. What could possibly go wrong? Oh my god. Oh no. Oh no! To quickly save you some time, if you plan to play the game portably, then sure, why not? It's a serviceable enough version. But if you plan to primarily play the game docked and on your TV, then no. Definitely go with another version. I'm saying that up front, so hey, for those of you who don't want to bloat a video to give you a quick answer, I'm saving you some time. But if you'd like to know why, here's the deal. While these are PS2 remakes, the graphics were enhanced even if some of the results were, let's say unintentionally hilarious at times. But the graphics are far better on the non-Switch versions, and honestly, while I know it's not as powerful of a system, I don't totally understand why, as the graphics for the GTA Trilogy don't exactly seem all that great. I mean, take Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. The graphics for that look far more impressive than GTA, although, granted, a giant open world isn't being loaded at once, but still, the game looks similar enough on the Switch. But if you compare the GTA Trilogy, everything looks much better outside of the Switch, especially the environments. When I was playing Vice City on my PS5, with those sweet pink and blue retro 80s tones coming in from the sky, Vice City actually looked pretty gorgeous. That was when the game truly shone, and it felt like an actual enhancement from the original games. Meanwhile, on my Switch, it just doesn't look as impressive. On top of that, despite having worse graphics, the loading times were also slightly worse on the Switch. There's a ghosting issue on both versions, where you can see ghosting behind your car, and it's especially noticeable behind a motorcycle, and this issue seemed to be more pronounced on the Switch. Additionally, the draw distance on objects, like cars you might run into or ramps you might shoot off of, is unreasonably bad. The Switch also doesn't have as many graphic modes that you can adjust compared to other versions. On my PS5, I could turn on and off lens flare, motion blur, and depth of field, whereas none of these settings are available on the Switch. Additionally, you can toggle between performance and fidelity graphics modes, so if the game is getting a little laggy on fidelity mode, just flip on performance mode and you should be good to go. But if you're like me and don't care too much about graphics, there is another far more major issue I ran into. And that was a consistent frame drop and lag while driving around the city in any of the GTA games. It didn't matter if I was driving around Liberty City, Vice City, or San Andreas. You could be certain that I would consistently be battling against lag, no matter how much I tried to adjust the graphical setting to try and make the game run better. And for a game series called Grand Theft Auto, where the primary thing you're doing, in between murdering people with chainsaws, getting hookers, and blowing up buildings, is driving, that's really what the core of the game has been. And this frame drop issue was brutal when you're chasing down and trying to run over a pizza man within a strict time limit who somehow delivers his pizzas by randomly throwing them at the ground. The last thing you want to worry about is the lag and frame drops causing you to crash into another set of cars. It was honestly that bad and that frustrating. And this lag I'm showing you wasn't even the worst case. I'm going to show you my footage unedited from Vice City's mission Demolition Man, where I had to blow up a building.
You want me to drill you?
Meanwhile, this is how it looks on a PS5. So, given all of this, why am I giving the game a pass on the Switch? That was good timing. Specifically, it's because, oddly enough, the game actually runs better in handheld mode. I first played the game docked so I could record footage, and wrongly assumed that would be the best way to play the game. But once I later hopped in bed to play the game, suddenly the lag and frame drops while driving were gone. I did go ahead and replay the game all the way through the Demolition Man stage just to test out blowing up the building again, as that was the worst case of frame drops, and it still had frame drops during the explosion. But up until then, the game had performed reasonably well. I was actually pretty satisfied with it, and when I later booted up GTA San Andreas...
Oh shit, here we go again.
I didn't have any noticeable issues, at least in the limited time I played it. To be perfectly transparent, I didn't get early access, so I purchased the game on the Switch and got a review code for the PS5 day of. And I tried to play a decent chunk of all three games on both systems so I could do my best to accurately compare them. So, in the end, if you're dying to play the GTA Trilogy on your Switch handheld, it's okay. And while the frame drops in docked mode are super annoying and definitely not something I'm giving a pass, the game is still playable while docked. So if the Nintendo Switch is your only option, hey, you can still play it on the Switch. But if you do want to play the game on a TV primarily, yeah, I'd say skip the Switch version. And enjoy laughing at the ridiculous character models that also exist in the PS5 version of the game. I hope this helped, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.